What is up, math superstars? So in this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, we're going to talk about fraction, multiplication, and division models. So we'll start here with regular multiplication models. And so, as you remembered from way back in the day, we're going to build out a model for 5 times 3. And so we build out an area model using the length times the width. And so here are the steps on how we do that. So we know that the length is equal to 5. And so on a grid paper, you're gonna measure out 5 units. So you can count them, just to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we know that the length is 5 times the width is 3. And so the width goes up and down, the length is gonna go left to right. So when we complete this rectangle, we know that the area, the total amount of units on the inside of this square, is 15. Hence, can you 5 times 3 equals 15. So just like we built out our multiplication model for whole numbers, now we're going to take a look at our models for fractions. And so our first step is we're going to build the model. We're going to use the length times the width using the denominators. And so we're going to go ahead and use our 5 and our 3. And we built out our rectangle, as you can see right here, with the length being 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our width being 3. 1, 2, 3. And we just went and filled in our rectangle. And so now we're going to take a look at what do we do with our numerators. So our numerators are going to tell us, so our numerators 2 and 1 are going to tell us what part of the length and the width to shade in. And so for a fraction 2/5, we can see right here that we're shading in 2 out of the 5 blocks. And 1/3, we're shading in 1 out of the 3. And you can see the product of 2/5 times 1/3, it comes out to the 2 boxes that have both colors or both patterns inside of them. So we can count them. So it'd be 2 out of the total for the whole rectangle is 15. And so our product for 2/5 times 1/3 is 2/15. Now, at any time if we're given a model, as we can see over here on our right, we can figure out what this model is telling us. And so our first step here in naming the model is we're going to start with the denominators. So we're going to figure out the length times the width. And so our length is 2, 1, 2. 2 times our width is 1, 2, 3, 4. Put our equal sign. And so our next step here is the shaded part is the numerator. And so when we look at the length again, there's 1 part shaded out of 2. So 1's going to be our numerator for the length, times the width. We can see that there are 3 parts that are shaded. And so our product now is going to be there are 3 parts that are shaded both colors out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 8 total parts. And so this is a really simple way when we're given a fraction model is how do we come up with the equation. Now last but certainly not least, we're going to take a look about fraction division models now. And so if we're given this equation 3/4 divided by 1/2 equals, we're going to give you some steps on how we could actually build out this model. So our first step is we're going to find the least common denominator. And in step 2, we're going to create equivalent fractions. And so we know that our least common denominator is 4 for both these fractions. And so let's go ahead and rewrite this equation as 3/4 divided by 2/4. And so this is going to be the basis for our fraction model here for division. And in step 3, we're going to draw out both fractions. So 3/4 is going to be on the top, and 2/4 is going to be on the bottom. And then the question is, how many 2/4 go into 3/4. And so with division, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. So how many 2/4 go into 3/4? And so we can say, so we're going to go ahead and circle this. So our first part, we see that there are 2 out of 2. 2 out of 2 that are shaded in this group, so that equals 1. We have 1 here. And then if we go ahead and cut and circle the last group, we know that there are 1 out of 2 shaded. And then that's going to be our second, that's going to be our fraction. And so we can say that how many 2/4 go into 3/4? We can say there's 1 whole group and 1/2. And so in looking at this, in solving the problem 3/4 divided by 1/2, we know that our answer, the quotient, is going to be 1 and 1/2.